Welcome to the October 2021 horoscope. I am Miss Jenny and I am your astrologer. So, folks, hopefully you have managed to survive September without giving into any unruly, unwieldy impulses. And you're here with me now watching the video. So, a couple caveats before we get started. This video for the month of October will be done in 4 segments, starting with first, second, third, and fourth week. Of the month, and then at the end, somewhere in here in the next couple of weeks, I will compile all the weeks together in a single video format and repost that. Now, all of this is to say is that if you comment on any of the individual videos before they're all compiled together as a single video, the comments are going to get lost because I have to delete the old videos. And the reason I'm doing this, well, there's a number of reasons I'm doing this like this, but ultimately we've got a lot going on, so I'm trying to make this a more brief. No, that's not true. I'm doing this because I don't have enough time to do an entire video because I've been dealing with car issues like brake failure, having to buy a new car, yada yada yada, all, and just so it's been a complicated couple of weeks, which just prevents me from really getting into this. And also, for those of you who live here in the US, are Republican senators. Every single one of the Republican senators has just voted down a bill that effectively, according to the economists, not the politicians, who benefit from fear-mongering and whipping up people's passions and ignorance about how things work, but actual economists who give a damn about things like numbers and the economy, have indicated prior to now that if they pull this stunt, it is threatening to tank the economy and put us into arrears with our debts to other countries. And this is a bad thing because it means a recession is going to go up, jobs are going to get lost. It's the actual word they used is apocalyptic. So this is our Republican representation in Congress that has just done this as of yesterday, because their priorities have nothing to do with you and I being able to eat, work, and have a roof over our head. Their priorities have everything to do with them not losing their jobs. What is it? If I can't go, then everybody's going with me. Anyway, so this is a momentous week, and I really wanted to address this specifically by itself. And then, so because of that, now we'll do all the other videos as individual segments as well, and then we'll put them all together at the end. So astrologically, this is what we have going on the first week of October. As you know, Mercury has stationed retrograde as of last week. Mercury is stationed retrograde at the 25th degree of Libra, which was helpful, but it can't stay there forever because 25 degrees is a fixed star, Arcturus. But it can't stay there forever. So now Mercury is traveling backwards in the sign of Libra. As this is happening, Pluto has officially, or will be officially, coming to a complete standstill and reversing direction. It will make its station going direct on October 7th. So we have this week, we're under the effects, or the spell, if you could call it that, of Mercury station retrograde, Pluto stationing direct. And while this is happening, Venus is at the last degrees of Scorpio. So this whole combination of things together creates quite the bubbling cauldron of going on. So here's some things that I want to give you in terms of events happening here that I can give as an example, and also how you can maybe look at that in terms of your personal life. Okay, so with Mercury stationing retrograde and Pluto stationing direct, and both of these in square aspect to each other. Mercury and Pluto are not talking nice to each other as this is happening. One of the things that we can look for is a revision, a review, or a return to old issue. And new things that get started are going to have to be redone. So agreements, contracts, and new actions, new novel actions that haven't been done before, that are attempted to be pushed through now while Mercury is retrograde, we know will be either incomplete, in error, or require review and revision by fate, circumstances, or meddling before this is over. So we're definitely seeing that with Congress and this nonsense these selfish, self-serving people are pulling. And they're going to have to revisit this. So this is nothing is standing and set in stone at this point. So there will be revisions. With that said, also Pluto stationing direct and moving forward is a powerful, powerful energy. So Pluto stationing direct literally brings the boom down, right? It brings the big kaboom. So Pluto represents power, the masses, big business, huge influence, the underworld, like things that are much larger than individual control. It has a lot of different rulerships. In this particular case, Pluto also represents power, the use and misuse of it, or abuse of it. So with Pluto moving direct, we can expect huge, huge issues that have to do with the acquisition and application of power. And we're definitely seeing it because right now, in the government, what we're seeing is a huge power play, right? They're literally playing games and doing a big penny swinging contest at our expense because they're not affected by it. But it affects the masses, which is Pluto, that is ruled by Pluto, and we're definitely seeing it. Now remember, Mercury and Pluto are in square to each other, so that particular combination with Mercury going retrograde and Pluto going forward indicates also too that the power plays that we're seeing is all about power and very short-sighted in terms of logic and decision making, which we're also seeing. So for you personally, the things to keep in mind is, now remember, the stars represent symbols, right? It covers the entire globe. So, you know, as above, so below, and out there in the big world, also in our little world. So for you personally, the thing to keep in mind is that this particular week is a big week where it's like the showdown at the OK Corral. Okay, partner, there's only room for one of us here in a, you know, little small town of gunfighting, you know, shit, gunslinging, you know, USA or UK or wherever you happen to be. So if you can possibly avoid it, try to stay out of, try not to get drawn or sucked into other people's power plays. Because if you don't already have a dog in this fight, if you don't already have issues that have started before now that need to be addressed, some people are just going to try and suck people into it just to dominate, right? Because that's this whole Mercury-Pluto square thing with a retrograde station and a direct station happening simultaneously. And Venus in those last degrees of Scorpio, which further underscores, you know, this emphasis or this lust for power, just to have it. So if you can avoid it, stay out of it. If you can't avoid it, meaning the ball has already started rolling, that snowball has already started coming down the mountain, there's no stopping it now, understand that this week is very much going to be about power plays, right? More about flexing the muscle, right? Who's the bigger dog in the room, rather than finding solutions for some people. Maybe even you got to watch yourself. So if that is the case, if you are in a situation where you have to have negotiations or delicate conversations or things are coming to a head, the best way to get through this safely, especially if you're at a disadvantage, because remember, Pluto stations direct, and Pluto stationing direct favors the big people, right? The people in charge, big money, big corporations, people who have more leveraging power than an individual. The Pluto stationing direct will benefit them. And under this square, this makes it complicated. So remember, Mercury retrograde is short-sighted. There's no long-term thinking. So this is literally all about flexing a muscle, you know, squishing the bug, as it were. So if you are the bug, meaning you're not, you know, the multi-million-dollar conglomerate or the bureaucracy, because I'm dealing with some stuff myself with the local county governments, which makes them Pluto or Goliath and me the little bug they're trying to squash. Diplomacy, and maybe, I even hate to say this, but a little bit of butt kissing is in order to grease the wheels, to make things move smoothly. People who need to flex their muscle and dominate, right? Because they're unconsciously responding to these energies. They're going to do it with somebody. So it doesn't matter if it's you or somebody else. It's going to be whoever, like those whack-a-mole gopher games where the gopher pops up and you bang it down. It's literally going to be whoever pops up and makes the most convenient, immediate target. So don't let it be you. Confrontation is not favored at this time if you're a little guy or if you're an individual. So keep that in mind as you're kind of moving through. Now, with this Mercury-Pluto square, right, with these two stations, this powerful, powerful, havoc-wreaking kind of energy that can, and it's havoc-wreaking because it can very easily be misused, right? Because people are acting unconsciously. They're not really thinking as clearly as they think they are. And that's always dangerous, especially when there's power or force involved or long-term decision making. Venus is traveling through those last degrees of Scorpio. Venus will not enter Sagittarius until the 8th, the day after Pluto is officially direct, right? So we got literally all of this going on. When Venus is in those last, now remember, Scorpio is also a sign about power, right? So Scorpio is the power sign. And also any planet at the last degrees of a sign indicates something that's coming to an end. Literally, we're coming to the end of the road. The person is at the end of their rope. You're coming down to the last stretches of the race. You know, this is the end, the last leg of the wire. So with Venus in these last degrees of Scorpio, this absolutely indicates and emphasizes if a power play is going to be involved, it will be a fight to the death. Literally. And remember, Scorpio can be a little self-destructive. So Scorpio, Lucifer in the Christian Bible is ruled by Scorpio, and so is Leo. Lucifer was probably a Leo Scorpio, actually. Anyway, so in the Christian Bible, one of the things they talk about is Lucifer used to be an angel in heaven, and Lucifer did not want to bow his head to anybody else. His pride and his ego wouldn't allow him to admit that there was anything greater than himself, because he questioned authority. How dare you make me subservient to you without explanation? And Lucifer apparently said, it is better, I think there's a play about it, right, where this quote comes from, it is better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven, right? So Scorpio energy, especially these last degrees of Scorpio energy, has a very cut your nose off to spite your face sort of feeling. So anything that involves power plays or like domination, right, being the dominant party, the winner, you know, in this thing, literally has a death before losing kind of feel to it. And these are not the kind of people you want to get in conflict with. Never, ever, ever get in conflict. Good Lord. Never, ever get in conflict with people that have nothing to lose or see themselves as having nothing to lose. Because if their option to losing is death, and death is preferable to losing, and it doesn't matter if it's economic death, hello Republicans, or physical death, hello terrorist bombers, you know, or psychological or emotional death, right? It doesn't, or professional death. It doesn't matter what the death is. When that self-destruction is more important and valuable to them than, God forbid, losing, you know, in this instance, they will take everybody and everything out with them because they don't even care about themselves, right? They will happily destroy themselves in the process of making sure you don't win. That's what we're dealing with this week. So be mindful and keep that in mind when you're dealing with people who are trying to bring the big boom down on you. Compromise, negotiate, kiss butt if you have to. Be sweet, you know, to humble yourself. Oh my God, humble yourself, and let this muscle flexing, this need to, you know, show your power. Let them move that to somebody else. Let someone else be the target. If you can, you were warned. All right. Now, the other thing I just wanted to mention about this week is Mercury, while it's going retrograde in Libra, it's leaving the 25th degree. So in the last 15 degrees of Libra, from 15 Libra to 29 Libra, because technically there's no 30. It's actually 30 and 0 of the next sign are the same thing. So from 15 Libra to the very end of Libra sign is what they call via combusta, or the burning way. And it's considered a very unpleasant, like a river of molten lava in hell kind of way to travel through. Now, we don't always experience it like this because it depends on where, what planet is in via combusta and what context it's in and what relationship it's having to other planets, right? So there's a lot more, sorry, allergies. There's a lot more going on than just, you know, this planet is within these degrees, so, oh my God, woo, fire and brimstone! Like, it's not like that. But in this particular case, with all that we got going on that's painting a picture this week with Pluto and Mercury station and Venus in the last degrees of Scorpio, Mercury being in the via combusta way, in those degrees now, absolutely just adds more fuel to an already blazing fire of just yikes, right? So And again, self-destructive, short-sighted thinking on the parts of people who are really flexing their muscles and feel like they need to dominate and establish their power in situations. So, ooh-wee, doggy, be careful, be gentle, be diplomatic. Play every situation you find yourself in right now, especially with people who have more power than you do, as if your entire life and your children's life depended on it. In some cases, for some people, that may actually be true. But even if it's not literally true for you, you're going to play the situation just like that anyway, because this is literally the level of consequence and unconscious, selfish, self-serving, Plutonian, Venus, last degrees of Scorpio, Mercury, retrograde in the Via Combusta energy going on this week. Right? Ooh, happy day. Okay, now here's the good news, and then we're going to close out this week because you need good news after all that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the good news is that this week we do have a new moon at 13 Libra, which is not in the burning way, not in Via Combusta. So 13 Libra is just prior to the Via Combusta, which we need. So the new moon occurs on October 6th, give or take a day, depending on where you're at on the planet. And when the moon becomes exact, or the new moon becomes exact, but assume October 6th-ish. Like that 24-hour window on both sides of that day is your new moon effect. And because it is 13 Libra and it's not in the Via Combusta, this gives us, this, believe it or not, gives us an opportunity to thread a camel through the eye of a needle. Okay? So, while this new moon is happening on the 6th, we're also taking that Pluto station, going direct, and Venus changing signs in Sagittarius, which is going to occur around the 8th, right? So we're still within this little transition period. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th is going to be kind of a weird wobbly time because you've got the new moon, Pluto stationing direct exactly, and Venus officially sliding into Sagittarius, leaving those last degrees of Scorpio entering Sagittarius. And the last degrees of Sagittarius or Scorpio are actually lucky. So we got good stuff happening. So between now and that new moon, play very carefully, like literally walk like you're walking on cracking ice across a lake. Okay. And know that by the time you get to the new moon, angels, guides, and guardians are going to be here to help us out with this, right? And we'll be able to perform miracles and thread a camel through the eye of a needle if we need to. So when we get to the new moon at the end of this week, beginning of next week, 6th, 7th, 8th, I would look for some possible, not necessarily immediate resolution, although that could happen, but definitely some possible solutions that come out of nowhere, or some fickle finger of fate getting involved and circumstances to come literally from left field and change everything for the better. So be prepared for divine intervention to kind of roll in and give us an opportunity to see a possible solution ahead, even though it's not immediately in front of us. Because remember, Mercury will be retrograde until the 19th. Okay, so between now and the 19th, we just know everything that we're doing right now, if it's not a redo, if it's not something we've already started that's been in motion, and at that point it's just gonna be snafus, right? But things that we're starting that are brand new that we haven't done before during this time until the 19th, we know it's either going to be abandoned, scrapped, redone, revisited, or revised before this is over. We're going to have to go back to the drawing table with some of this stuff. Not all of it, but some of it. Which means that when this new moon occurs at the end of this week, we may see a possible solution, or a not a get out of jail free card, but like literally a, here's your miracle, but it's over there. Okay. Up into the future, we just have to kind of navigate in that direction. So hang in there and play this like a chess game or a poker game, whatever you want to call it. But definitely don't get into firefights with people who have more leverage than you do, because you will lose. You will lose. Everything favors the powerful right now, or people in positions of power. And they're looking for a reason to flex their muscle. But remember, they're being very short-sighted about this because there's an unconscious drive. They're not thinking, they're just kind of reacting. And that's always the wrong way to get stuff done and sets you up for problems later. So if you can keep your cool and, you know, woo-saw your way through this and speak softly, compromise, be humble, play up to their need to feel powerful. Okay, literally be an old-fashioned woman. Like this is what women used to have to do just to navigate getting money from their husbands to go buy food or necessities or something that wasn't on the original grocery list for the week. Because there was a time when women didn't have their own bank accounts or their own money. You had to literally ask your husband for money just to go grocery shopping. So, in situations like that, especially when there was more financial limitation involved or financial control, women had to address power, which would be the husband, in much more subtle ways, and involved a lot of butt kissing and a lot of manipulation and a lot of making them feel powerful and making them feel like it was their idea. This is where this whole business with the older women, oh, honey, you gotta treat these men like they're little babies because, they all are. Like, that's where that comes from, because that's literally the only way you could safely navigate your household situation in your marriage and get stuff done. Especially if the husband was in a bad mood or you weren't lucky and you ended up with a bad husband. Thank God we're not there anymore. Well, many of us are not there anymore. We're not all completely free of those situations. And thanks to the Texas abortion law, they're trying to push us right back there. So this is the way we got to approach things. So there is your first week of October report. We'll do the next couple of weeks in succession over the next couple of days. You hang in there. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and as always, like, subscribe, share. Well, maybe like is good for feedback, but again, the video will disappear when I compile it all together. But if you enjoy this and you'll get notifications of the next videos for October, definitely hit the subscribe button and share with people you think might benefit from a little forewarned is forearmed kind of advice. Talk to you later.